Battle through the firmament. Great world. Chapter 431. They went deeper and deeper. Wait, he didn't come. The few of them had only rushed into the bamboo forest for a short while, but Xiaoyan had already sensed something. With a thought, he immediately stopped in his tracks and looked at the surrounding bamboo forest. Lindao stopped with a cold expression. He waved his arm and the Imperial Dragon Point blue spear appeared. He waved it in the air and broke several bamboo along the way, venting the anger in his heart. What's going on? Wu Shaoqi wiped the sweat on her forehead and supported an arm-thick pillar. When she saw Lindao's sudden movement, she could not help but jump in fright. Here, Xiaoyan narrowed his eyes. An indescribable fear suddenly surged in his heart and he shouted coldly, "Get out of here!" As soon as he finished speaking, before anyone could react, a howling gale suddenly appeared out of nowhere. It was as if sand and stones were flying everywhere, blocking their line of sight in an instant. Be careful! Mu Yuyang was shocked when he saw this. The heavenly net sword in his hand suddenly stabbed into the ground. In an instant, sword ki swept across the place. The sharp sword light almost tore through the air, forming a strong wind. It kept roaring around the four of them, blocking the sand that suddenly filled the sky from the sword ki. Lindao coldly humphed. He moved his waist and used the monic skill, Heaven's Point. It revolved around Xiaoyan and the other two at an extremely fast speed. The Imperial Dragon Point blue spear in his hand was like a dragon's roar. Thousands of strong ki rushed out from the tip of the spear, forming an indestructible origin ki barrier, firmly protecting the four of them in the middle. In an instant, the sound of the wind, the sound of sand and stones flying, and the roar of the sword ki could be heard without an end. A moment later, it slowly dissipated, and the originally gloomy sky also became clear. Xiaoyan was the first to look in the direction of the exit, and his expression instantly changed. Originally, he had been able to see the exit, but now he could see the dense bamboo forest, and the environment they were in was completely different from before. Mu Yuyang and the other two also noticed something strange. They looked around, and when they saw the changes in the environment, their expressions changed. Not good. It seems like we have entered some unusual place. Mu Yuyang's eyes were like lightning as he vigilantly observed his surroundings. He pulled out the heavenly net sword from the ground and said with a cold expression, "Forbidden Land." Lindao held the Imperial Dragon Point blue spear in his hand and his eyes were gloomy. His sharp gaze swept across the surrounding bamboo forest and said slowly. Xiaoyan's heart sank. He silently looked at his surroundings, and his mind was extremely tense. When he discovered that the white-haired middle-aged man had stopped outside the bamboo forest, he had already noticed it. He didn't expect that they wouldn't even have the chance to escape. Is this really a forbidden area? Wu Shaoqi could not help but gulp when she heard this. She was shocked. She instantly remembered what old man Chang had said before she went up the mountain. The strength of the purple-robed marquis and the others were many times stronger than them. After entering the forbidden area, all of them were killed. With their weak strength, how could they escape? As soon as Wu Shaoqi's voice faded, the four of them fell into silence. They had more or less heard about the legends of the Star Moon Island. Regarding the forbidden area, they had heard of it like thunder. After entering the forbidden area, which was enough to kill any expert, would they be able to leave this place alive? Be careful. Since it is the 4 academies competition, I estimate that the dangers in these forbidden areas will be much weaker. Perhaps, we can walk out of this place alive. After a while, Xiaoyan suddenly spoke. There was a hint of hope in his voice. The few of them had been in this place for quite some time, but they hadn't died yet. This was the best proof. Xiaoyan is right. Everyone must be careful. We have entered the forbidden area. Those old men from Star Moon Town should be able to detect us. Mu Yuyang nodded his head, agreeing with Xiaoyan's point of view. The gloomy expression on his face had also disappeared. I'll take the lead. Lindao had already spoken after Mu Yuyang's voice sounded. His tone was quite resolute. Clearly, The miserable escape just now had caused a lot of fury to accumulate in his heart. All right. Mu Yuyang didn't say much. He just nodded his head. No one knew where the danger would come from in this forbidden area. No one would be able to withstand the most severe attack if they walked at the front of the group. After making up their minds, the four of them didn't delay any longer. They looked around vigilantly and found the right direction to go up the mountain. After that, they quickly walked forward. Along the way, they were extremely careful and alert. In this kind of mysterious forbidden area, no one dared to be careless. Boom! Countless boulders flew down from both sides of the canyon. It was as if thousands of arrows had been fired at the same time, aiming straight at Zhou Buyi and the other three men in the canyon. Be careful in Star Moon. Zhou Buyi's eyes were about to split apart. He rushed towards Zhou Exingyu, who was not far away. At the same time, the origin key around his body suddenly exploded, turning into an indestructible origin key armor. Boundless origin monic kiss surged over his arms, forming a huge hand that was dozens of feet in size. The huge hand was clenched into a fist and was sent flying at a dazzling speed. It shattered all the huge rocks that were thrown at him, causing Zhou Exingyu, who was beside him, to be completely unharmed. At the same time, Lei Yunting and Luo Zhen also displayed the powerful strength. Golden origin monic kiss emerged from the top of the former's head. Numerous thumb-sized thunderbolts continuously leaped and roared furiously like a dragon's roar. It carried a soul-stirring strength as it smashed all the huge rocks that came at them into powder. Luo Zhen's figure was strange. He roamed freely among the countless huge rocks. As his palm wind whistled, dozens of millstone-sized huge rocks were turned into dust. Zhou Buyi's expression was solemn. As he sent the boulders flying, he looked around with a cold gaze. Under the pursuit of the white-clothed middle-aged man, a canyon suddenly appeared in front of them. Without thinking too much, they rushed in. However, the middle-aged man stopped in his tracks. As if he was afraid of something, he quickly retreated. Sensing that something was wrong, the few of them wanted to retreat. However, the surrounding scenery suddenly changed. It had become like this. Before the crowd could react, locust-like huge rocks flew down from both sides. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have fought with that fellow. I wouldn't have come to this damn place. Lei Yunting's eyes were filled with fury. His blonde hair soared into the sky and exploded one by one. The origin kiss around him whistled. The densely packed boulders simply could not get close to him. Zhou Buyi remained silent, but a trace of shock flashed across his eyes. He recalled what old man Chang had said before coming. Here, this place, might be the forbidden land of Star Moon Island. If I'm not careful, I wouldn't. Zhou Exingyu hid behind Zhou Buyi, and her eyes were filled with confusion. Suddenly, she turned her head towards the depths of the valley, and as if she had sensed something, her heart warmed slightly. Brother, let's go inside. I feel that the way out might be in the valley. Zhou Exingyu whispered in Zhou Buyi's ear. Compared to the confusion of the other three people, she seemed to be very relaxed. All right, if you don't want to die, then walk inside. Be careful of your surroundings. Hearing this, Zhou Buyi pondered for a moment and then nodded. He did not ask in detail. This was the only situation he could think of right now. Bastard! With a flick of his 5 fingers, the origin key pillars around him roared out and smashed the dozens of enormous rocks in front of him into powder. Lei Yunting's eyes were filled with fury. He glanced at Zhou Buyi, but he knew the situation they were in right now. The bombardment of the huge rocks was just the beginning. Who knew what would happen next? Seniors, we seem to have come to a place we shouldn't have come to. Looking at the endless plain in front of him, which was filled with rugged rocks, like a peerless monster, Shang Shaoshan's face turned pale and he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Wu Qian circulated his heavenly martial origin eye. Green light surged in his eyes, but he still couldn't see the end of it. It was as if the entire world was desolate. Shi Kanghai's face turned pale. He looked behind him at the place where they came from. The entrance had long disappeared. The four of them were standing on a desolate plain that had been forgotten by the entire world. Kang Feng stood behind the three of them. His facial expression was volatile. It was a long while before he let out a soft sigh. Just as he was about to speak, his eyes suddenly paused, and he looked towards the depths of the plain. "Let's go." After hesitating for a moment, Kang Feng suddenly shouted. He took the lead and charged forward. He did not care about the danger that might appear at any time. Seeing Kang Feng's actions, everyone was stunned. Although they were shocked, they didn't dare to be neglectful. The origin kiss around their bodies surged and turned into layers of armor, following Kang Feng closely. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.